Bases dropped on a wall pass Wednesday here on SDH AM. John, hear you there. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. The rundown, we got to take a peek at what happened last night at the Death Star. Lower.com field, 2-0 win for the USMNT. We got your highlights, all two of them, and we have some sound from Mauricio Pochettino after the match. We'll get into that as we go. We've also got to get into all of the other World Cup qualifying stuff that happened yesterday, and there was a lot. We'll let you know who's in, what the standings are, where folks go from here, what the next stages are and the steps and everything. Heartbreak last night in South America. We'll get into that. And we'll let you know who is where doing what. CONMEBOL is done. You know who's in. You know who's heading to the playoff. And we'll get into that as well. The story is in Europe with all the goals that were scored by Erling Haaland apparently yesterday. Only had 5 goals, 2 assists, and an 11-goal outburst against Moldova. And it looks like Norway might have the inside track of making it in the UEFA playoffs. So once again, we'll go through all that stuff. And I think I've had it officially with this pen. I think it's finally done. So we'll have to grab another one. So Tyler's going to join us in about 10 minutes. And yes, David, it is a Marshall Island tee. Yes, it is. Absolutely. And I know that for those who are astute, you'll remember that, hey, didn't Nelson wear this yesterday? Well, yeah, he did, but he only wore it for the show. And had to run a bunch of errands, and this was close by. So that's the rationale for it this morning. This particular T-shirt was picked up in Arkansas as a part of the first friendlies that they had. And as much as Abby has tried, this has apparently been discontinued by the Be Unlimited folks in Arkansas, no matter how much waving of our hands in the air and cajoling and convincing we're trying to have them roll over the rest of their gear and continue to reproduce it. Abby got the word that apparently they're done. That this particular shirt is out of stock, and it's going to stay out of stock as much as we'd like for it to continue to be in stock. So, yeah, I'm wearing this again today because it was close. Had some things to do early. Was on a talk show in Columbus a little under an hour ago. So literally, it was a grab and go, and it was there. So I apologize for wearing the same shirt for the second day in a row. Morning, David. So we got to get into that. Obviously, if Tyler's going to join us, that means we're going to talk about Atlanta United getting ready for their matchup with Columbus on the weekend. So we'll get into that. If we can catch up with the busiest man in the Northeast, Dylan Butler, he'll be joining us at 10. We'll take the larger picture of everything going on in Major League Soccer, and we may even open a package on the air. So that would be something wall pass Wednesday-ish. No real shock and surprise or anything like that, but yeah, Dylan sent a package, and we felt compelled to open it on the air. So we'll do that, and it has to do with what he showed us last week. He hadn't had the chance to mail it yet, and so we'll open it here on the show. And it is it will end up as so don't tell Jason this. It will end up as a Festivus gift for Jason. I don't think he knows that this is coming, so we'll show it on the air, and then we'll tuck it away, and it's a Festivus gift for him. Last night, speaking of which, it was great to catch up with everybody at Emory University for the continuing lecture series, the continuing history series inside the Woodruff Library last night in the Jones Room. Caught up with the head coaches on the men's and women's side at Emory University, Coach Greiner and Coach Patberg. Got to lay the land for their season and what it's been like for them to build, and a bit of a history lesson involving Emory University and their soccer program and their place in the soccer pantheon here in the state of Georgia when it comes to collegiate soccer. So it was a great history lesson, and also a great lesson about how those two coaches and those two programs are navigating the current landscape. So that'll be out as a podcast fairly soon. Set your notifications for when that gets released here on the SDH network. But once again, thanks to everybody at Emory University. And as we get closer to determining the Cup champion of the world next year, there obviously will be doing some more stuff over there at Emory. as they are their plans for floors of the library to show off everything that they have in their archive having to do with the sport. Really cool ideas. And when we know more, we'll let you know more. But keep an eye out for the lecture series at Emory and the podcast tapings and things like that. So it was very, very cool last night to catch up with our friends at Emory University and catch up with both programs on the men's and women's side. So that's the rundown today. We got all the AM news we got to talk about. We've got mainly the qualifiers from last night and updating you as to where things stand after last night, who's in the tournament, who is trying to get into the tournament. Cape Verde, that's a story that we got to keep an eye on. And I imagine that Columbus Crew fans are trying to keep an eye on flights coming out of the African continent so they can figure out what they're going to have in the way of Steven Moreira in minutes. So if you figure he might be landing later today in Columbus, that would mean that Thursday he's probably having a bit of a walkabout. And it is, we'll see how many minutes that Moreira can give you. We'll see how many minutes Max Arfston can give you. Sean Zawatsky, injured, did not participate in this window. So there are questions, and if you go back and get the early intel from our friend Chris Doran, the play-by-play voice for Columbus Crew, you'll get the early thoughts on it. Keep an eye on it as you're going. Columbus Dispatch is probably one of the best places that you can do that. What does the back line look like? Might be one of the big questions coming forward for Columbus this weekend as they visit Mercedes-Benz Stadium and take on Atlanta United. So that's today. So all the qualifying, updating your things, updating all of your brackets and your lists, getting you ready for the rest of the day with your AM news, all the college stuff that's going on. We'll let you know what to watch, where to watch it, and who to watch. We'll get into full-blown coverage of the USMNT coming up here in just a little bit. We'll find out how much that Tyler actually watched, or if he was actually, spending time with family or something like that. So, family, what are you doing? That kind of a thing. So we'll ask Tyler how deep his watching habits were last night when it came to what he was watching. And there were points where I think I had 3 separate matches on. It was the USMNT match, keeping an eye on that. The lecture was during the first half of it. And so there were some of us who were being pretty rude in the Emory library and kind of having the game on while the lecture was happening and while the conversation was happening, just so I could give updates when the series was over. So we had that, raced home, saw the second half, had CONMEBOL going on, had CONCACAF going on, had league play in South America going on. Once Caldas had a match last night that was on really late. So literally it's like three or four things that were going on last night. And we'll catch up with Dylan and we'll catch up with Dylan if he can make it. And Tyler, he shows up here in just a little bit, and we'll get the breakdown of everything in his existence as we get ready for, once again, Crew and Atlanta United this weekend. So morning, David, morning, Pars, morning, Abby, and morning, Wiley. 9 Inch Nails. How was the 9 Inch Nails show? I mean, we are in a bit of a Wall Pass Wednesday mood. How was the 9 Inch Nails show? Did it show their age? Were they a half step slow, or were they on it, Wiley? That's the big question. Okay, good. Okay, so Wiley gives a thumbs up. Says that 9 Inch Nails last night was awesome. A lot of folks at Fido Midtown watching USMNT. So, like I said, we'll get into the numbers. We'll get into the stats. We've got sound from Coach Pochettino, and we got your goals and highlights and things like that. So we'll get into that here in the show. Whatever else is on your mind as we go here in the midweek, 3 days away from the resumption of the Major League Soccer schedule and the home stretch before there's, I think, another window in the middle of October. Just when you think you're getting a lot going on, then there's another window. So we'll see what's going on with the USMNT and everything else on your mind this morning here on a Wall Pass Wednesday. Just to let you know what is going on for the remainder of the week. Once again, the Power Hour tomorrow, 10 and 10:30. We'll go through CONMEBOL with Nino and go more in depth into what happened last night and how some folks are completely and totally devastated. Venezuela, obviously, is that. There were some surprise results that led to Bolivia making it in, and some actions within those matches that gave Bolivia the chance. And Venezuela giving up 6 at home, where they only needed not to lose, basically. They needed to match or surpass Bolivia in activity. So Bolivia wins, Venezuela loses. Venezuela gives up 6. Luis Suarez had a busy night, and it was just a night that I think Venezuela is going to want to forget for quite some time. Bolivia in, Venezuela out. Bolivia is in the qualifier, and a big night, busy night for them. So Power Hour tomorrow. We'll get into CONMEBOL. We'll probably get into the statement from Independiente that was read on camera, the Copa Sudamericana, and then Nico Moreno joining us at 10:30. We'll get into more of the fallout having to do with the suspensions and Leagues Cup. That's another topic that we need to get into with Tyler here coming up in just a second, with Leagues Cup and suspensions and who got what and how many. We'll get into that with Nico and find out how Steven Lenhart got a 5 and the whole thing about misappropriation of credentials. We'll see if Nico has any intel on that, and that is on Thursday. Thursday night, we'll catch up with our friend Dan Orlowitz, and we'll run in the Friday show our conversation about this window for Japan and the Japan national team, what it meant for them, and then the loss to the United States, even though it was not a stand-up starting 11. You had the manager for the Japan national team, when he was asked about the roster for the USMNT, he said that Balogun and Pulisic stood out from the Big 5 leagues. MLS players, he figured that was, and I'm paraphrasing, he figured that the MLS players that were on that roster, gave about what I figured. That was the Southern way of saying what Moriyasu said about the USMNT roster coming up from yesterday. All right, I've dilly-dallied enough. Time to go indoors. He's indoors. He's not on his patio this morning, where conditions, Tyler, might have, if there weren't dudes doing yard work or something, maybe you go outside and you kind of chill a little bit this morning.
Yeah, I thought about it. I don't know, but it's kind of a busy morning, kids doing school stuff and everything else. And I was like, let me just also, with the windows open and they do school like right there. So there is a possibility that we may be interrupted, not by the guy cutting the grass, but by young school children.
Okay, whatever. I mean, it's a Wall Pass Wednesday. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's all about widening the audience and making sure that other demos are covered when it comes to promoting the show and all that kind of stuff. No, I'm down with it. Let's start with the USMNT. Did you watch any of it last night?
I did.
Your thoughts, sir, question mark, after this matchup in Columbus?
I think
that was a heavy sigh to start things off.
Yeah, it was either that or the sip of coffee. So, I mean, I guess I'll give my thoughts as like the whole break for the men's national team. And I just feel like Japan specifically, I don't think they Japanned enough. I think Japan's a much better football team than maybe what they showed, than what the scoreline actually displayed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the U.S., I mean, you have some some positives from it for sure in this one, but I think overall it's just it's not. I mean, we're less than a year out, man, and it's just not good enough. It doesn't look good enough. It doesn't pass the eye test. It doesn't pass the statistics test. And I mean, I don't want to be negative about the U.S. team, but at the same time, like, right, this is your biggest opportunity to grow the game for this generation. And I feel like we're so caught up in the drama and this coach is good enough. This coach isn't good enough. This player is good enough. This player's taking breaks, whatever. We're so caught up in it. And look, like, any press is good press, or whatever the saying is. But I just feel like it would be nice. No such thing
as bad press. Yeah.
Yeah. No such thing as bad press. I just feel like it's, at this point, it's so childlike, as opposed to just being a moment where the country could get behind, their football team for a very, very, very important tournament that is going to be the biggest sporting event the world has literally ever seen. And it's just all become about the wrong stuff. And then as far as like how they played, I mean, we know the first match was pretty terrible. And then this one, I think it looked things looked better. I mean, you have some positives. Balogun, when he's on, he's the best striker in the pool, in my opinion. But it's just injuries and things like that. But overall, man, it's just not quite where it needs to be.
Okay. Well, let's attack this. So in front of a crowd of 20,000, 192, Pochettino makes 5 changes to the starting lineup from the loss to South Korea. They include Zendejas and Balogun going in. Japan rotated their entire lineup from mostly first stringers that tied Mexico and Oakland in the goalless draw. And looking at the player ratings, here's the deal. Matt Freese gets a 6, according to our friends at Soccer America, and this is what we traditionally do: is we look at the numbers from whomever is covering it, and we sit there and we either go circle gets the square, we agree or disagree.
Yep.
We move over to somebody else. Freese gets a 6, according to Mike Woitala at Soccer America, well positioned to snag Japanese headers on net. Punched to safety a corner, securely caught the other crosses. Flawless performance came in his 8th straight start. So Matt Freese with a 6 on the board, according to Woitala.
I think
as he sips his coffee.
Yeah, no, I'm also pulling up because I wanted to use and just take a look at our good friends, FOTMob.
Sure.
And compare.
Mm-hmm.
But FOTMob is giving me some. Oh, here we go. Okay. Freeze got an 8.2 on the day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we're starting from the back, I don't think there were too many issues. And like you said, Japan
rotated the ish out of their squad.
Heavily rotated, yeah. So I think you should expect, though, that your defense, with some of the guys that they had back there, that shouldn't be an issue. Now, of course, like the goalkeeper position is like the revolving door of death. Excuse me. I'm like dying this morning, man. I don't know if it's the weather change or what. But that position's always going to be, it seems, in flux until maybe the day before the World Cup starts.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing with the striker position. But I mean, no, I think Freeze in this one was all right. I think he did exactly what he needed to do. But again, I'm coming off of, a handful of performances that have just not been good enough. And then you're doing this against Japan's backups.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I'm like, maybe I'm being a little too pessimistic, but this is what you should have done.
Yeah. 3-man back line, and this probably has been one of the larger talking points after this match. So if the 3-man back line works, then everybody is on their boxes of soap and going, we'll stick with it, going forward. Chris Richards had the one error that almost led to a goal from Japan, but Matt Freese answered it on a low-flying shot. Tim Ream was there to help out. Tristan Blackman rebounded from his effort. Tristan Blackman, from our friends at Soccer America, got a 2. Basically, their arbitrary thought patterns gave Tristan Blackman a 2, gave him a 5 this time out. Tim Ream and Chris Richards got 7s on the scale of 1 to 10 from Mike Woitala.
Yeah, from the FOTMob perspective, Blackman got a 7.1, Richards 7.2, and Ream a 7.5.
Okay, so 7s across the board.
Yeah, I mean, and I think with Tristan specifically, I mean, again, I've said that. I say this on our show all the time. Enough said it on here. Like the stats are one thing, but the eye test to me is huge. You have to pass the eye test, and I don't think that anybody in the game yesterday just straight up failed.
Yeah,
but you look at the stats for Tristan, and it's like, I mean, you had no tackles, you had no blocks, you had 7 clearances, which is, I mean, that's cool. But like some of your other stats, you won 2 out of 4 ground duels, and you didn't win your 1 aerial duel. It's just like those things that to me, again, in a bubble, this one game, you got by with it, but I don't think that's going to be good enough. Like, I don't think the aggression was there. Now it worked. Like, again, this back 3, like you said, people are going to get on their soapboxes and say, all right, well, this, it happened this time.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I look at this one, unfortunately, as such a bubble of a match because of what happened against Korea and what's been happening, that I don't think you can take a whole lot in terms of, well, this particular pool, this particular starting 11, this particular group of guys is going to be what what the team needs going forward.
Zendejas, according to Woitala, was good enough for an 8. I imagine the goal was probably one of the defining factors there. Christian Roldan, who we've been discussing for the sake of sandpaper, got you a 6. Tyler Adams, Christian Pulisic, Max Arfston. Arfston's cross, by the way.
Yeah.
They all got 7s. Arfston's cross to Zendejas. I mean, if you were to take that in its half plays, Arfston's cross to Zendejas was choice. Then Zendejas on the volley with the presence of mind to take it clean on the volley, and with the one hopper getting it into the net off of the near post. That play from pass to shot, that was some pretty sweet stuff.
Yeah. And I think what is interesting to me overall is how Max Arfston has kind of just worked his way into this group with Pochettino. And I think it's something about the way that he plays is very Pochettino-esque. I don't know. There's not really a good way of putting it. I just think he's trained in a system with some of the best in MLS doing what he does. And then he brings that to the men's national team. And I think the biggest thing too is, he's getting consistent time, which Pochettino values. But I think you've kind of seen his game develop a little bit over the past year and a half, in club football, and it's getting noticed. So I think you're taking positives from maybe not just this window, but the windows in general. Arfston has pretty consistently looked, I don't want to say phenomenal, but he's been good. He's done the job. And so I know maybe I came in Wednesday morning, 1 cup of coffee, a little negative, but I think there are some good things to take. And you talking about the cross, these are the games that when it comes to these international games, especially when you're building up for a World Cup, when you get into the World Cup, it's those kind of moments that are gonna count. It's not nobody's gonna remember the misses. Well, they will.
Yeah, they will. Oh, they will.
But it's gonna be, that's we've seen it in every World Cup in our lifetime. You're gonna have those in just about every game where it's the goal that probably wouldn't be scored most of the time. Somehow somebody snags it. Yeah. And, it's just because that cross may be just on it. It may be something out of left field. There's something special about it. And I feel like, Arfston, with how he's playing, he's giving you something a little more than maybe he would have 2 years ago. I just feel like his development has been really, really cool. And then you talk about Zendejas and the finish. I mean, I don't know. I'm happy for, again, positives. I think you have something really neat to look at there.
Yeah, and when Alex was interviewed, he's like, I was just waiting for my moment. I didn't expect to get called up. First start for the U.S. since the 23 Gold Cup. He went scoreless in 5, and he said, I didn't expect to get called up. 7 games for Anthony Hudson and B.J. Callahan in 23. Never played for Berhalter. 55 minutes over Pochettino's first 4 in charge. Missed out on USA's first 12 matches this year. And then, he had for Club America in 23-24, and this year, 16 and 15, 3 straight Liga MX titles, runner-up in the Clausura. So he comes off with a spark off the bench. Pochettino said, so pleased because he, with his performance, makes us to doubt about our roster. With this type of performance, he's in the race for the roster of the World Cup. And so, that's what you're hunting for. And so Zendejas gets the call, and you tap him on the shoulder, and he's ready to come in, and he gives you those kinds of moments, like we saw last night.
He was the most fouled player of the night too, which is saying something just because it means you're getting involved. Mm-hmm. I mean, you add the goal on top of it, that's nice too, but it means you're annoying somebody if you get fouled that many times.
Yes. Flo Balogun gets you an 8 up top. Once again, you get the left footer there on goal number 2. Subs on the night: Dest, Luna, McGlynn gave you a worthy of 6s in the eyes of Mike Woitala. Luca De La Torre and Damian Downs getting reps. They got 5s. Nathan Harriel came in for a cup of coffee. 17 different players have scored the 30 goals in Mauricio Pochettino's 18 matches as USMNT head coach. And then once again, we mentioned that Alex got his first start since June of 23. Next up in the October window, USA gets Ecuador at Q2, October 10, and then Australia in Commerce City at Dick's on the 14th. So that's the next go round for all of that. What else sticks out for you in your FOTBOB analysis off to your right or wherever it is?
The only other one that I kind of had in mind was De La Torre, because I mean we've seen him provide, I talk about the midfield with Arfson and kind of what he was bringing with Tyler Adams and everything else, but De La Torre has been that guy that's been doing the job out west all season long, and has looked good doing it. And then he comes in the, what was it, like 66th minute, I think, is what I just saw. Yeah. And I mean, 10 out of 10 on his passes and creates 2 chances in, under half an hour. I think now, again, all things in a bubble, because this was Japan's backups.
Right.
But I mean, I think your midfield depth going into the World Cup is going to be incredibly important, because we're always talking about the goalkeepers and the strikers for the US. That's just how it is. That's been the issue. But I think one of the things that maybe you could look back at the 2022 World Cup and say is that you just didn't have enough depth at midfield that was dynamic.
Yeah.
And it really, really caused issues in the knockout stage whenever they got knocked out.
Right.
It just felt like they were so flat. So I think going into this World Cup with maybe a little bit more of a pool, that if they can get everything else figured out, that's going to be a big strength, I think.
Yeah, go ahead and get your coffee and get hydrated.
Yeah, man, I don't know.
I don't know what's up with you this morning.
You know what I think part of it is? I've noticed this because of this show over the past couple of years. When it is soccer season, and by soccer season, I mean the kids are playing soccer, and I'm out there practicing with them and all that, and I'm running a lot. The next morning, I guess it's just like running around and all that, stuff, congestion, whatever. Then I get up and I'm like talking a little bit, obviously, with the family in the morning. But then when I get on here, I was like, I'm actually talking. And I think it's like all of it just like, is like, hey, remember all that running you did yesterday? Welcome back.
It's like, excuse me, sir. Mortality here. Just kind of catching up with you.
Just you remember how old you are now?
Yeah. You're sitting there going, yeah. And so long as the muscles are sitting there and behaving, then you're okay.
I'm gonna need to like refill this cup of coffee with extremely hot coffee.
See, there you go. Tyler hanging out with us here to kick things off on Wednesdays, as he always does. Once again, we are efforting the busiest man in the Northeast, Dylan Butler, and we are also efforting Bart Keeler to see if he can hop in the final half hour, because Bart kind of gets in the way of things, especially that are not Mondays, when you have friendlies on Tuesdays and getting ready for everything. Going over the USMNT and the 2-0 win over Japan in Columbus, and getting the thought pattern of everybody, and where everything is always, even keeled. Everybody's just kind of like, yeah, everything's, we're going to kind of keep an eye on things. Everybody's just kind of chill about moments like this. McGlynn, David's been on fire this morning in the Twitch pits. Better than a 6. Dude had 3 real chances. And then looking at backing up Dest and Jedi, Arfston's much more dynamic, but do we need a lockdown defender or a dynamic fullback? That's what dictates choices on the depth that you bring. Then the idea that the assist was lovely, but every game folks are turning the corner on him like he's a traffic cone. Wow, traffic cone Max Arfston. Bring that to the Benz on Saturday.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah, bring a traffic cone. Just like, can you bring one into the Benz? You sit there and you've got a traffic cone. You just sit there and you bring it when they mention Max Arfston. You sit there and you hold up the pylon. Freeman's much more stout defensively. Arfston also played ball central in their defensive third to trouble and to Japan players. My thought, and we had Chris Doran on yesterday. And I wanted to specifically ask about a player like Arfston, because in the Wilfred Nazi system, you have those jokers that are all over the place. And what I mean by joker, I don't mean by haha. I mean the dudes in the deck.
Wild card.
Yeah. So you don't know what they're going to do. They could be in a graphic and they can be in a place, but once the whistle goes, you don't know what Camacho's doing. You don't know what Mo Farsi's going to do. You don't know what Max Arfsten's going to do. The graphic does not dictate what their game behavior is. And I think that in national team duty, when you bring in Columbus Crew players, they're used to being jokers. And you have to be in a more rigid idea unless Mauricio Pochettino wants you to be a joker in a particular match. I think that you're specifically set to do something where Max Arfsten down the left-hand side, okay, I need you to feed, and you feed, and you feed, and you end up getting the result. You won't see Max Arfsten necessarily, unless it's dictated, doing those joker things where he's going in the inside channels on the right or the left, dictating wherever that gap space is, and Arfsten doing what we're used to seeing him do in Major League Soccer. I think that national team duty probably means you're going to be a little more structured in your ideas coming from Mauricio Pochettino. And that's why you see him out on the left, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, I think.
Am I off in that idea?
No, I agree with you, but I think you also see, like, to the point from, I think, David, you see some tendencies, and I think those tendencies might cause him every once in a while to get caught maybe in a less tactical location,
yes,
to be able to do his job. And I mean, you see that obviously with a lot of national team players. If they come from a specific system and then they come into the national team, and they're there for 2 weeks, they're not that they're having to relearn or completely adjust, but they do have to follow a different set of standards. And I think that's why Jedi has worked so well, kind of in a lot of different, I guess, formations and sets from coaches and everything else, is because he's a very traditional left back.
mm-hmm.
He'll get forward sometimes, but he stays at home. But then when he does go to break lines, he's breaking it with his engine and his speed. But you're not seeing him get all the way to the end line all the time and send in the crosses or the balls. Now he'll do it, and it's happened occasionally, but he's not that attack minded, left back. And I think so it's a little bit easier to look at him. And at the end of the day, we have to remember that, like, fullbacks are defenders. And so, I mean, if you're falling apart defensively, that's a problem. And I think, unfortunately, like, I mean, I guess if you want to, like, look at from an Atlanta perspective, I think you've kind of seen that a little bit with like Brooks Lennon. Brooks Lennon, he either is getting forward and doing the job, or he's staying back and defending and not getting forward at all. And I think he's kind of taking a step back defensively. Whereas if you look at the national team, the left with Arfsten, I even mentioned, like, sometimes he floats inside. That's what he does with Columbus. And again, you see tendencies. You saw tendencies in this window with him to where he wanted to do that, but he's being told to do something different. And so, thankfully, you have that back three in his situation to kind of save him and allow him a little bit more presence to go forward. But it's just, at the end of the day, he's still a defender. He's still got to get back and do the job. He can't be a traffic cone. So I do understand that.
Yeah, and so you are mandating, I'm guessing, you are mandating that someone try to smuggle a traffic cone into Mercedes-Benz on the weekend.
100%. I mean, honestly, there might be some inside the bins that you could just walk to and grab.
True.
I mean, really, all you need to smuggle in is a face picture of Max.
A fat head of Max Arfsten.
Yeah, and then you can find the cone anywhere. One of the security people will probably give you a cone.
Yeah, it's like, well, I need this for starting lineups.
Yeah. Just let me have the big orange one.
Yes. Last night in CONMEBOL, by the way, they were trying to figure out the 7 spot, who's going into the qualifier. Ecuador beat Argentina on a red card call, and it ended up needing just the 1 goal, and Ecuador gets the 1 goal. Paraguay over Peru 1-0. You had Colombia put 6 on Venezuela.
I have a somebody,
which was
Spike's name.
Crazy.
Quite happy.
And Luis Suarez scored 4 last night for Colombia. We'll get into Luis Suarez in a bit. So you end up with, and get this, So Talasco Segovia scores in the 3rd minute. You're 1-0. You're 1-0 up. Venezuela is in. Yerry Mina scores in the 10th. You're at 1-1. You're still good because all you have to do is match what's going on with Bolivia. Joseph scores in the 12th. You're 2-1. Luis Suarez scores in the 42nd, 2-2 at the break. Everything is still there. Then Luis Suarez in the 50th, Luis Suarez in the 59th, Luis Suarez in the 67th, and all of a sudden it's 5-2. Solomon Rondon scores in the 76th to make it 5-3. Jean Cordoba scores with 12 to go. 6-3 final. I did not have. I'd love to know what the juice boxes were on the total at plus 8.5. I'd love to know what that was. Bolivia goes 1-0 over Brazil, and Chile and Uruguay a goalless draw, which means that Bolivia is in, Venezuela is out, and Venezuela is now on the outside looking in again. Bolivia goes in for the qualifier, so it's Argentina, Ecuador, Colombia, Uruguay, Brazil, Paraguay. All of you had 4 teams at 28 points.
Yep.
Which is just crazy, stupid, unbelievable. And then you had to go to like goals scored because of tiebreakers on goal difference with Colombia and Uruguay. And then you go to Brazil and Paraguay. Brazil dropped to 5th, by the way, in the table because of the goals and stuff. And then Paraguay is in. So obviously, Miguel Almiron, man, could you imagine? Could you imagine a Miguel Almiron match at Mercedes-Benz Stadium?
I know. I know the powers that be are not looking at Atlanta like that, but I feel like the soccer gods should step in and make it happen.
You just kind of sit there, have Dan Corso kind of wander over to the friends at the FIFA and go, hey,
this is a good idea.
Guys, just saying. Then Bolivia is in, Venezuela is out at 18 points because of the loss. And so it was just crazy keeping an eye on CONMEBOL last night. And so we're kind of getting an idea as to who's getting closer and who's all this kind of stuff. See, David, here's the idea on the traffic cones.
I know that's a good one. I like it.
Spill a soda and make sure that when they come by and clean it up, then you get it all covered. So you have chaos in CONMEBOL, otherwise known as Tuesday. And we're kind of getting a better idea as to who might be drift. We know who's in now completely and totally, and we know who's now heading into the playoff. But yeah, chaos again. I did not have Luis Suarez scoring 4 in a game that had 9.
No, I mean, that's the thing. CONMEBOL, it's not that it's surprising. Like, none of this, the fact that you have like an 18-way tie to get into the World Cup at this point, like, and then you have, games that are dropping 9. I mean, like, it's insane, but that is CONMEBOL. That's exactly how it goes. It's just when it's this close to a World Cup, it's amplified even more. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch like a lot of the games, lot of those games.
They're also on like pay-per-view for like $97.
Right. It's like so stupid. So, but like catching the highlights and everything else, it was probably the most entertaining part of this international window.
Absolutely. And you still got a couple of matches and things like that we're keeping an eye on in the window. Cape Verde looks like they might be working their way in on the side out of AFCON, but it's absolutely crazy. So since we mentioned the gentleman who scored 4 last night, I've been kind of on a box of soap over this one. The folks at Major League Soccer came down with their ideas as you look skyward. you're kind of sitting there. I can see your wheels turning as to how you want to phrase this.
Yeah.
MLS has come down with their additional words having to do with what happened at the end of Leagues Cup. And like I said, we'll get into the Seattle side of things and the Steven Lenhart 5 coming up tomorrow with Nico Moreno. But Luis Suarez is the only one to get touched in that one for an additional 3. Nothing for Busquets for delivering a short right to Obed Vargas. Nothing for Maxi Falcone for a triangle choke. I guess it was on Obed Vargas.
I think so. Yep.
Nothing to Jackson Reagan. Nothing to John. Nothing to Jay Bell. Nothing to Thomas Aviles. Nothing to Chelo Weigand. it was just 3 to Luis Suarez, and we're on our way. And I don't even think we've seen anything involving any kind of a fine to Messi and friends for what went down either. So literally, it was just like adding another 3, and we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was waiting for the.
You're
like Giovanni Ribisi in Ted. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Man, it's horse crap, dude. It bothers me that MLS couldn't do the right thing. And like, so I'll let me take a step back.
Sure.
Tommy and Sydney did a video the other night, just kind of talking about their opinions on it. And Tommy gave a good point about we have a precedent in MLS with the spitting and the 3-game suspension. I think it was Hector Herrera.
Yeah, it was Achacha, and that was the main reason, or one of the contributing reasons, that Pat Onstad said we're not renewing his contract.
Yeah,
last season with Houston.
Yeah. So the precedent is there that you spit on somebody and it's 3 games, which that's about the only saving grace that I could say. All right, MLS, but it's not even necessarily the Luis Suarez thing. Like I think Suarez should have been. I mean, there should be a fine too. The fact that Seattle got fined, it's so frustrating. It's so backwards. You spit on somebody, money should be coming out of your pocket. Just like last week, I said, you spit on somebody, and don't be upset when someday somebody squares up on you.
Yeah, that was why I thought that the suspension went for more than a match, because that second match would have been at the Erector Set against Seattle.
Yeah.
On 59.
Yeah, and so I mean, whatever. 3 games, it is what it is. But there should be a fine involved. There should be a fine, and I know this is not the legal system. You got to look at this dude's history. The dude has a history of literally hitting and spitting on people and biting people a lot.
Maybe he was just hungry.
Maybe he was hungry. Maybe he had that Mike Tyson in him. I don't know. It just there needs to be an example set, because the Leagues Cup 6-game thing, he's not even going to be here. like we don't know what's happening with Leagues Cup next year. 3 games, I'm glad they did it to get you through the Seattle match for sure, because that would have been a crap show had he been there for that one. But you still have the rest of the squad, of Miami squad, that's going to be there that didn't have anything happen to them. Not even a fine. And so I just don't think the punishment is honestly enough overall. And then I know the Seattle thing, Nico is way more in depth with what's going on with it, but I think that's crap too. Like that's what you decided to do, is go and punish essentially the team that was on the rougher end of this, that didn't start it all, that didn't, make it all happen.
And your mental health coach.
Right. That's insane. So yeah.
Your dude.
Got me riled up, man. No,
that's it.
But no, I just think it's crap. I think it's not enough. I think MLS had an opportunity here to do the right thing and show everybody. I mean, at minimum, take away some of the news lines about how, Miami is MLS's favorite team and this, that, and the other, and the conspiracy theories. And this honestly did nothing to help that at all.
No,
it just made it worse.
And because of the gaps in what could be perceived punishment in a situation like this. I mean, literally, Sergio Busquets, you see, you can't miss him because it says Sergio on his back is to the camera, and literally, I'm left-handed, so primarily, so I'm going to do it with my left, even though he did it with his right. Literally, it is you see this.
Yep.
You see that to Obed Vargas's jaw, and I mean, it was just a short shot. And I don't know how, it might have been a punch that gets pulled like we see with, Undertaker or somebody on Monday night. But still, you are throwing a punch.
Yeah.
And you do that. It says Sergio 5 on the back. And you do that, and then nothing
at all. And you know, I always go back to 2022, I think it was. 2021. I don't know. Joseph and Victor I think it was Victor Wanyama.
Oh, in the tunnel in Montreal?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the choking thing.
Mm-hmm.
In that instance, Joseph was grabbed, and then Joseph grabbed back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, by the letter of the law, sure, both get a red, both get sent out. Cool. I'm cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
Thiago Almada was suspended for 3 games for bumping into a ref at a Columbus game at the Benz. And then you can then go now, and I understand it's Leagues Cup, not MLS.
Right. And they are their own separate entity. I get that.
Which is a conversation in and of itself, considering, you know, it was created by MLS. Anyway.
It is a CONCACAF sanctioned tournament, and they are their own animal.
Yeah. But like, so you have those instances, and then you just go and you give 3 games to the guy that spit and nothing to the guy that punched a 17-year-old. Because we can sit here and act like, you know, I mean, it was a push that got turned into a pulled punch, whatever, but he still punched the guy in the face. So you look back at the Joseph thing where he grabbed him. I mean, Joseph was grabbing him to kind of keep him off of himself. And he still gets, you know, now that wasn't a 3 game, but he still gets punishment for it. And then you have a situation like this where, like, you literally had MMA moves getting pulled out, and there's nothing that happens to them. It just blows my mind, man. I don't think it's good enough from MLS.
I don't think Victor Wanyama wanted any of Joseph in the tunnel, frankly.
No.
You don't want that. You don't want that smoke. And you know, thankfully there was a camera that was kind of poised to kind of take a peek up the tunnel in that instance, so you could kind of see a little bit of the beginning of it. But you know, I don't think that would have been something that Victor Wanyama would have registered in the W column at the end of the day.
No.
Speaking of Columbus, they're coming to town, and I know that David is going to be looking to spill a soda in the concourse at Mercedes-Benz Stadium come the weekend. You have folks coming back from various parts of the planet. Obviously, the European window ended sooner than the CONMEBOL window, the CONMEBOL window, where Ronald's coming back late, Miggy's coming back late. I will be interested to see what it looks like against Columbus up top. How many minutes can you give me is probably going to be one of those questions to Miguel. Miguel will give you an answer, but you're probably going to have to gauge it through the physios. You have Steven Moreira coming back late for crew. You have Max Arfston on national team duty. You have Sean Zawadski, who had a knock and could not participate in practice or the match in Columbus. And I would recommend folks go listen to our interview with Chris Doran yesterday as he kind of broke down what the back line could look like with any and all of these variables. That still does not reference the offense that they have up front, short of Wassam, Wassam Abu Ali, who was spending time with his national team. I'm intrigued because of all the missing pieces and what it looks like. What kind of a matchup are you looking for here from Atlanta as they take on Crew on Saturday?
I mean,
as he takes another deep.
Yeah, I had a cup of coffee delivered, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Just for you, because it's just, you know, it's been one of those mornings. But no, I think, first of all, these matches always seem to happen. Atlanta Columbus at least once a year, either in or on the tail end of an international break.
Yeah.
And both teams do have a lot of folks that go out. And so it always feels like there's like an asterisk next to these matches. I think
second heavy sigh.
Yeah. I think Atlanta's defenders, they're, you know, not all of them, because you do have international call-ups pretty much everywhere down the line, but I think the guys that were here, I think this was a great opportunity for them to kind of continue to get integrated into Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
maybe with a little less pressure. And I think from that perspective, it's good because the defense has been pretty solid. It's been better for sure, like a lot better than it was throughout the early part of the season. And I think with Mihai back there, the things that maybe these guys could have done during the break is going to bring them even closer, I hope. But you're also playing against a Columbus team that they're one of the best in the league. So even though both sides are coming off of a handful of guys coming back, I think Columbus is still going to bring it. I think this is going to be a tough game, but at the end of the day, if Atlanta doesn't win, there's still a possibility that they could be eliminated. And I know playoffs, haha, we've made that point for a long time.
Yeah.
But they could be, eliminated, no matter what. But at the end of the day, you've got to go out and play for pride at minimum, play for next year, continue to get these new guys kind of integrated. And even if that means, the other guys that are going to be here next year only play 60 minutes. If Miggy only gives you 60, and he's going to fight to give you a full 90 because that's Miggy.
Yes.
But the rest of the guys, we saw Jamal Tiari. We were there at the training ground on Saturday for that Tuesday match, and Jamal Tiari's out there getting lots of running in, and so you wonder how he's going to be. Cayman Togashi, obviously on an option year, but I would imagine you would bring him back next year if you can.
Yeah.
So these other guys up in the attack, Luke Brennan, who talked yesterday, like, you need to get them as many minutes as you possibly can with the other guys that you brought in the summer. What that looks like on the field on Saturday against one of the best teams in the league, I think it's going to be that the defense holds them to a much lower score than we've probably seen in the past. Mm-hmm. The last time the Crew were in Atlanta, it actually turned out really well for Atlanta. It was 2-0, and that was when Columbus was killing it. Mm-hmm. But no, that's just a very roundabout way of saying, like, I think you're going to continue to see the defenders, some of these new guys, Alzate in the midfield, continuing to build chemistry, which I think has been really refreshing to see how quickly they've maybe gotten some of that already.
Yeah.
And then it's just going to be getting reps with those guys that I mentioned before, and just seeing what they can do against a really good team, because it's a good litmus test at this point.
Yeah, and seeing the continued relationship with an Mihai and a healthy Stian Gregerson, I'm wondering if for defensive purposes, you probably have Alzate playing more of a defensive role and act almost like a third center back, to where with all that firepower coming at you with Abu Ali and Diego Rossi and such, you need that extra body back there just to make sure that you're accounting for, well, if they've got 2 in the attack, I've got 3. If they've got 3, I've got 4, if not 5. So something along the lines of the back 4 that we're used to seeing, and wondering what it's going to be like at right back. Alzate playing more of a defensive posture, Bart going forward, and then Alexi, who had the friendly coming in. Like I said, we don't know about Miggy and his numbers. And then trying to figure out, Luke, and is it Jamal and Latte Lot, or is he physically? So you kind of have a loose construct as to how you think it may look, with a lot of pieces that have been together, and you didn't really lose to the international window compared to what you would be losing at the back for Columbus in this case.
Yeah, and you could even, I don't think that Ronnie Dyla would do this, but this could also be the game where it might be worth trying out a back 3 with Better Call as well. Obviously that would have to require some changes elsewhere, but I think because you do have guys coming back that probably aren't going to be able to give you the full 90 like you want, this might be a moment where you could slot him in somewhere. And with Stian having, probably some of his best form that he's had, at least in terms of staying healthy, it could give you an opportunity to really see what all you have with all 3 of them. And if you play your cards right, you don't lose a lot in the attack either. You actually might gain some things. So that would be a chess match. And I wish that this game maybe counted a little bit more, to kind of see how that could play out with Nancy and Dyla and just the formations. But at the end of the day, whoever they put on the field in whatever formation, they need reps together.
Cut the promo for me. What's going on at SNS?
So tonight at 7, we have our show, normal Wednesday show, over on the YouTube and X and everything else.
Right.
With we'll have Kalen Carr. It'll be me and Henry, and maybe Tommy if he gets back in time, because he's got some stuff going on tonight. But definitely me and Henry and Kalen Carr will hop on, and then Saturday at 5:30 before the match, we are back over at the Signia.
Ooh.
At the Nest on 4 bar. So y'all come hang out with us beforehand. We're trying to work on getting a guest, special guest to pop up. But I don't know for sure that that's going to happen. So I can't cut that promo yet.
Okay.
But do come out because we will be doing the show, and it'll be a good time.
Cut a promo for a show, and maybe we'll have somebody cool.
Yeah.
There you go. 7 o'clock tonight on the YouTubes and on all the socials at SNS. Tyler, as always, great, my friend, to have you batting leadoff with us. We kind of went a little sideways with the men's national team and all the other things, but that's what we're here for on Wednesday.
Yeah. It's been one of those Wednesdays.
And enjoy your heated beverage and get recovered because you got a show tonight. We'll see.
I know. See ya.
All right, there goes Tyler, and it's always good to catch up with Tyler and find out what's going on. And it's time for the hot tag. And with the hot tag, we go to the busiest man in the Northeast. Okay, you're here, and
I am,
and that's a good thing because
we are going to be here now.
Yes, we are. And so I am going to I'm going to filibuster I need you to filibuster for a minute.
All right.
Because I got to get something that arrived here at the office. And we're going to open it on the air.
All right.
We're going to open it on the air. So filibuster for a minute and talk about the box that you sent and what it was like. Hey, it's a Wednesday. It's what we do.
I'm just laughing because I want to see where John has to go to find said box. I thought it was under his desk, but apparently it is completely out of camera shot. So as everyone knows, went to see Oasis, and apparently too, so did multiple stars. Allegedly, Matt Damon was there. Better Call Saul was there.
Really?
I'm not sure if it was the same exact day as I was there because it was 2 days at MetLife Stadium.
Uh-huh.
I didn't see either of those guys in the parking lot where I was.
Okay.
But, so I had a request from John.
Yes, you did. You did. You had a request.
And I fulfilled said request.
Yes, you did. And frankly, first and foremost, I saw the shipping amount and I almost lost it. I was like, are you seriously? That's an ish ton on the shipping, man.
I wanted to get it to you as quickly as I could.
So do I need to venue some more money?
You do not.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I mean, it's I literally, Dylan got this sent to us. And by the way, like I said, Jason does not know about this.
Ooh.
So yeah, this is meant to be something along the lines of a Festivus gift.
I wasn't sure if I needed to go 2 separate ones. Like if you would, I don't know if you'd be in the same place, wearing it in the same place.
Oh no, I mean that'd be kind of like, well, legitimately, it's like, oh, so you're twins, that kind of thing. And now I've got your address, which is always a good thing. Okay, so now that I've used my scissors, here is what Dylan said.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, see this, and like I said, dates on the back, you can never go wrong.
Yep.
And so then obviously it's an amazingly similar shirt, just in a different size. So there you go. But no, like I said, I thought
you'll be impressed, John, because that was post concert,
really
post beverages.
Wow.
And got it for you there,
man. Well, you and spending your like $9 gazillion to be on that level where it's easy access for everything. So No, cannot thank you enough to
And,
add
and,
this.
it, and it was funny because we were on that level, and as I said last week, we were we went more. Who is it? Doesn't Lee Bryce have the song "Parking Lot Party"? So it was more of that's what it was for us. Although we did obviously make it for Oasis, but we had walked in as the lights were down just before they started the opening Bush's song.
Okay.
We'll just call it.
Well, yes, because you can't reference most of the rest of the song unless you're like a fan of Nigel McGuinness or something. You're blanking in the bushes, basically.
Yeah. So,
and that is one of my favorite cuts, by the way. That is one of my favorite. That is one of my favorite Oasis cuts.
I guess man, it was forever ago, right? But like the last time I saw them, that was what they opened with. I think it was in the "Standing on the Shoulders of Giants" tour. But so we had just arrived then. So like it was like we got up, got to our seats, got to our row, sat down for a second, stood up for the next 2 hours as Oasis played. But we didn't know what was even in this area, this club area we were in. So the concert ends. We're like, all right, let's go hit the facilities and let's see if I could get this merch. And we're walking around this club like, wow, look at this. They have some nice stuff in here. I mean, everything was closed, obviously, other than the merch area. But it's like, oh, they have street tacos. That looks really nice.
Wow.
Oh, look at this over there. Oh, look at all the different kinds of beers they have. Like, had no idea.
So you've survived that. You've survived the international window. We talked a little bit about the USMNT in hour number 1. And we're now in the home stretch before we have another international window in October for Major League Soccer. The Eastern Conference.
The most inconvenient of all the October international window. Because there will be at least 2 managers, maybe the Shield winning manager, right? Like they'll complain about it and how they lost momentum, and there'll be someone will do the math on the amount of days between matches kind of thing.
And you've got an Eastern Conference that is a street fight, and nothing is new. It's like it's a day that ends in Y, and the Eastern Conference is crazy. You look at the standings going in, and you know that 2 teams are in. You just don't know the where. The 2 teams are official of being in the postseason. Or actually, well, technically 1, because I'm thinking next pro. Philadelphia's in at 57. You don't know where. Cincinnati's at 52. Charlotte's at 50.
Yeah, Cincy and Charlotte are on the precipice of clinching. Nashville is there too.
Nashville, 15 wins and 50 points. That's your 1 through 4. Then you've got Orlando with a match in hand at 47. Messi and friends with as many as 4 matches in hand at 46 and 13 wins. Then you've got Columbus, who has 12 wins at 46 points. That's your top 7. Then you get into NYC at 44, Chicago at 42, Red Bulls at 40 are below the bar right now. Chicago has match in hand. NYCFC has 2. And then everybody else, 11 and on the way down with New England, Atlanta, Toronto, Montreal, and D.C. When you look at how things are currently in the East, let me start at the 8-9 and we'll work our way up. Do you see Red Bulls making their way in? Do you see, I guess, 1 through 8 or 1 through 9 staying 1 through 9 right now as things are heading into the home stretch? Or are you looking for somebody to duck out, whether it's NYC or Chicago, and Red Bulls hopping in?
So I have mixed emotions on this.
I
guess it's a 2-parter. It's kind of like what do I see likely happening versus what do I want to happen. The mixed emotions comes with what do I want to happen. I would love the wild card game to be a Hudson River Derby.
I thought you were going.
Oh my goodness, the one-off. I mean, it was a one-off last year too, right? But it just continues to help build that rivalry. So, playoff derby matches, you live for those, right? So from that perspective, you'd love to see that, or at least I would love to see that again. But on the flip side of it, I would like to also see Chicago get in. Like, I think obviously they're not a complete product because of where they are in the table, but I think they've done so many positive things, especially in the attacking third. I think it's been a good start to the Berhalter era in the Windy City. So you would like to maybe see them rewarded as well. But if it's going to be, because it would appear it'll be that grouping of three, right? Like NYCFC had an opportunity to push ahead of that, and they faltered terribly against DC United at Yankee Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of deserve their fate right now. I will say there is a Hudson River Derby match coming up late in this regular season that obviously can go a long way towards kind of figuring out who will be in that wild card match.
Then you go to the 5, 6, 7. And legitimately, if you wanted to lump 2 through 7 in there, we could, because they're separated by 3 wins, basically. Cincy, Charlotte, Nashville, we could consider that the chase group for Philly. And then if we go Purple Team, Messi and Friends, and Crew, I think the matches in hand obviously are going to be the determining factor in 5, 6, 7, and just how motivated Messi and Friends are to get close to the 2. Obviously, they can't, they could be the 1, I think, if they win out, if they all 4. So 4.
And they've got winnable, and they've got this one coming up. Charlotte is probably, I think, I'm not looking at their schedule right now, but I think probably their hardest match that they have, especially because they have to go to Charlotte,
Right,
where the Crown are nearly unbeatable at home, 11-2-1. But outside of that, they've got very winnable matches to close out the season. So do they go full throttle and chase the Shield? Do they ease up a little bit down the stretch drive and make a more concerted push for MLS Cup? That's, I think, the question.
and I mean, you look at their run in. So let's go ahead and check the run in for Messi and Friends while we're at it, and take a peek at what it looks like for them with these matches in hand. And then obviously we'll talk about scheduling there as well, and going midweek weekend, blah, blah, blah. So you've got the match at the Bank, and then you go midweek, and it's the matchup against
They do happen to have Seattle. That's
Yeah.
right.
So you have that game, and I'll go ahead and go boldface italics and possibly air quotes. So at Charlotte, then 3 days later you host Seattle. Then you have your third match in a week. You host DC United. Then 3 days later, you go to NYCFC at Citi Field. Then 2 days later, you take on Toronto at BMO. Then on the 30th, you host Chicago at the Erector Set. So basically, you have 6 matches in 18 days to kind of figure out where you're going to be. And that's just to get you out of September. Because of what you did in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza and Leagues Cup and such, you got 6 matches in 18 days with this crew.
But also I think if you look at their kind of entire schedule, I would say that is more the norm, honestly, than a week between games, between whether it's CONCACAF, Leagues Cup, Club World Cup, right? Like, they've played a million matches this year. So I think, if there's a team, I would put Seattle in that same mix, teams that can weather that kind of wild pace. And also, I mean, there's got to be some squad rotation at some points, obviously, but they have the high end talent that you would think could deal with that kind of a setup.
Yeah, and that it's I want to see how, obviously, they're not going to have Luis Suarez for the first 3 of those, but I think in a way,
Did he do something? I don't.
I,
I'm not,
I
I was
think,
at Oasis that night. I'm not sure.
yeah, it's just something, something having to do with, hydration or whatever. You won't have him for the first 3, but considering what we've always been concerned about with Suarez physically, what you've done is you've given him a chance to basically take a week off.
Yeah.
And get him ready for the stretch run where you're going to be playing. You're going to need him as a part of that squad rotation you're talking about. So this mandated vacation that he gets from Major League Soccer, I think, helps him out physically and helps them out when it comes to those matches 4, 5, and 6 to get you out of the month of September.
Yeah.
An inadvertent plus, I guess.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
It's one of the things you sit there and go, okay, so a 38-year-old dude with bad knees, what do? Well, we're going to suspend him for 3 matches. Okay. And you're probably sitting there going, yep, I'm going to kick back and relax and just do a little rehab and everything will be fine. I'll be good for those 3 matches when everybody else is gassed. I come in from behind and we'll take care of those other 3 matches to finish out the month at NYC, at Toronto, and home to Chicago.
And also Messi doesn't play, right, in Argentina's second match of the September window. So that's a plus for them as they go to Charlotte.
Mm-hmm. What does your crystal ball tell you? What does Dylan O'Damas sit there and looking at the crystal ball in the East because of what we've just been talking about and everything else? Where do you think the top 4 is going to line up?
Top 4, I will go. I'll go Philly, Cincy, Miami, Charlotte.
Okay. So you figure that squad rotation is going to come up and bite Messi and friends at some point. They won't get the 1. You figure they're not going to win everything in the run in. They'll lose 1 here or there, so they'll be a part of the discussion at the 2 and the 3, as opposed to clearing the plate and getting ahead of Philly by winning everything out.
Although that said, too, I'm not like Cincy hasn't looked itself.
Yeah.
I mean, they what is it, back 3 straight 1-0 losses at home.
Mm-hmm.
Their win was at Portland 3-2.
Right.
They do not their stretches home for Nashville. Again, they've lost their last 3 at home. So at LAG, home for Orlando, which again will not be easy, at a desperate Red Bulls team, and then home for Montreal. So if they are the team that was buzzing and looking to win a Shield and a Vander MVP, then I think they could finish second. But I almost want to amend that. I might want to, looking at that, I mean, maybe a Miami 2 and Cincy 3.
Okay. I mean, I figured that what it would end up as, they would get that, meaning Cincy to me is kind of hiccuping their way through the end of this, and they might be barefoot in the dining room and turn the corner and kick the table leg or something. Charlotte, to me, I think that Charlotte can be exposed. They can be found out. Nashville has been exposed, I think, in a couple of different ways, and that's why I'm thinking that Miami ends up as your 2, and then probably Cincy 3, and Charlotte and Nashville, to me, it's like I have questions on each, but I'm wondering if I have less questions on Nashville than I do in Charlotte. Therefore, Nashville 3, Charlotte 4, maybe. That's what I'm kind of like. Everybody just kind of is just in this big pile. It's like, I know Philly, I know what they bring to the table, and Messi and friends, what they bring to the table. You look at Charlotte, you can see points for and points against. You look at Nashville, you see points for and points against. You look at Orlando, you see points for and points against. And then with Crew, I'm wondering when Crew turns the engine over, because when they do,
they've been in neutral for how long, right?
I know, and that's the thing. It's like, you turn the engine over on Columbus, and then you know what they can bring to the table, and they're gonna frustrate the crap out of anybody in the Eastern Conference when things are going the way that Wilfred Nancy wants them to go. And so it's like you take what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams of the top 7 right now, and you're kind of like, yeah, and I see, yeah, and then and then Philly is up over here, and then Messi and friends, they can fit in anywhere in here. I have more questions about the Eastern Conference than I do answers right now.
I was just looking at Chicago too. They massive one, right, coming up Saturday against NYCFC.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Minnesota, not easy.
Ooh.
Host that Columbus team we just mentioned at Miami, home for Toronto, and then you end at New England.
Okay. So it's a 50-50 schedule. But, yeah, I mean, Messi and friends' schedule's navigable, and it should be games that they do win, but then you juggle the idea of rotation around it, and you got to see where it is. In the West, San Diego – is Mikey Varish your coach of the year?
Yeah, I think if it – of course, why would it be given at the midway point of the season? But if it was the midway point of the season, it was definitely going to be in Vancouver. But I would say for Varys. I think Bradley Carnella's crept up into a probably second on that list.
Mm-hmm.
But for sure, it's unheard of. And obviously, look, they're approaching records, they're breaking records, but to do what they've done in their first season is crazy.
5 points clear of Minnesota. And then Vancouver, Vancouver has 2 matches in hand. So technically they could be a close second if they went out. Seattle, obviously, spacing there, 44 points. They're literally the chase group because I think it's San Diego, Minnesota. They're both in. We just don't know where. Vancouver has matches in hand, so they could be as high as a very tight number 2. Seattle, once again, having navigated everything, everybody's kicking dirt on Seattle. It's like the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. We owe taxes in April, and we kick dirt on Seattle every year. And then everybody in Seattle sits there and goes, they give you the Mutombo finger. No. And it's just, I don't know why. I don't know why we continue to kick dirt on everyone's favorite a PhD professor, librarian looking individual, Brian Schmetzer. It's like we continue to do it. And then every year, it doesn't matter what the competition, they're either going to go zombie sounders on you after a bad start. They're going to go deep in competitions, and they're going to everybody's going to sit there and go, yep, there's Seattle. And then you end up with them chasing after things. It's like priority here. We've got our lineups. We bring in our folks from Tacoma. Literally, it is wash, rinse, and repeat, and it's another year of this coming out of Seattle.
We win another trophy. We've won every competition now that we've played in. Yeah,
it's just what is the secret sauce? I mean, is it just something as simple as having a system in place and sticking to the system and not deviating from it, where you build from within, you have your young talent, you go strategically for your high-priced scores, you make sure that you have enough depth to help you out when inevitably there's going to be an injury, and then you try to fill in pieces here and there with young talent where you do spend a little bit of money. And is it that formula? What part of this formula am I missing here?
No, I think that's all of it. And as you said, a manager who's criminally underrated, right?
So. And that was going to be my follow-up. Are we still taking Brian Schmetzer for granted?
Probably, yeah.
I think maybe on this side of the Mississippi we are.
Yeah.
Where we're kind of focused on everything in the Eastern Conference, where in the Western Conference he just kind of does his thing, and it's like da, and I'll see you later. You look at everything else in the West, and it is LAFC and Austin, and Austin has been doing this in 28 matches. Austin has scored 31 goals.
Yeah, but suddenly, but probably
half of them,
10 of them have been the last 3 matches.
Yeah, it's just I don't know what happened. I mean, You for the longest time, I think own goal was tied for second in goals scored by Austin FC. The Brandon Vasquez injury meant that you had to rely on Uzuni and Bukhari, and they're finally, I think, coming around as your DPs, other than Brandon Vasquez. And you're now I guess we should phrase it this way: you have now scored 31 goals in 28 matches, and you're in sixth.
Yeah.
And you've got a little bit of space for you when it comes to making it into the playoffs. I mean, it's just I don't know what happened in Austin, but they seem to have, at least in the short term, figured things out.
They keep it weird.
Yes, that is absolutely true. Portland's at 39, and then you have the fight to get in the 8-9 right now. Colorado, San Jose, they are in.
Houston, it's hard to. Sorry, Jonathan. It's hard to have complete faith in San Jose.
Yeah,
but doesn't it feel like it's more than 2 points between them and Houston at this point?
Yeah, it does.
The way that Houston is faltering as well.
Yeah, and when you look at the number of goals scored, in the West, they are number 2 at 53 goals scored. San Diego has scored 54. That would put San Jose basically in a tie for fourth, but that's only because they're 1 goal behind Orlando, Messi and friends, and San Diego. So they've scored 54. They've scored 53, but they've also given up 51, which is nuts considering that all Caps have given up 51, LAG have given up 56, Kansas City has given up goals by the metric ton this year. They've given up 59, and then you look at DC with 54, and then Toronto with 51, Chicago.
Yeah, they're going to be the only team to make the playoffs to concede the way that they have.
It's just, I mean, 29. So 29, 51 divided by 29, it's like 1.5-ish kind of thing. 22, but 22 over 29, 22. It's like actually 1 2/3-ish. But yeah, just the fact that it's like it's either going to be one of two things. It's either going to be goalless or it's going to be like 5-4 with San Jose. There is no middle ground for Bruce Arena, and I'm sure it drives him crazy.
And they've got LAFC at Levi's.
Mm-hmm. 12 people will be there for that one.
St. Louis at San Diego, at Vancouver, and then Austin to end the season.
Is that all?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I know. So you've got all of these things. So you look at the West. Do you think the West is going to be status quo because of the distance? I mean, look, it's 2 points. Salt Lake has matches in hand. They have 2 matches in hand. They're 4 points out. Dallas is at 31. They have a match in hand. So I think if anybody makes a push to San Jose, it might be Salt Lake with those 2 matches in hand. Houston just kind of seems to be, I mean, Houston's at a -9 in goal difference right now. And they've scored 38, given up 47. And Houston at times, I don't know what Houston I'm going to get. But
when you're desperately trying to make the playoffs, you don't give up a late equalizer to a team that's out of it.
Yeah.
Right? Like that is a gut punch and a half. And you could even hear it in Ben Olsen's post-game press conference, right? He's like, we got to find the way to keep that result or get a second goal at some point. But that's one, and they were home as well, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's not a good look.
No, so I think if anybody is going to make that charge to chase after San Jose at the 9, I think it might be RSL.
Yeah, 2 games in hand on both of those teams ahead. It is 4 points though to get to San Jose. Salt Lake's remaining is SKC, so you have to get those points at home.
Mm-hmm.
LAFC, but you have them at home. You go to LAFC. Ooh. You're home for Austin. You're home for Colorado. You're at Lumen, and you ended at St. Louis.
Okay, so that's got some navigation attached to it. LAFC, I don't think I've had the chance to ask you. What have you thought about the Yeonmin Son transaction and the pickup there, and what it means to both LAFC and to the league? What?
Yeah, it's great. It's I hate to cross sporting metaphors, but it's a home run, right? I mean, and so many, it clicks so many boxes. It's a player who's still bringing it, right? He's not. It's
It's not Gerard in Los Angeles,
right.
Pirlo with NYCFC.
There's such a huge Korean population in Los Angeles, and he is such a personable star as well. So from a marketing standpoint, like all of those things, it ticks the boxes. He's shown it in this window as well that he's still bringing it for South Korea, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
doing what he did against the U.S., scoring again against Mexico last night in a 2-2 draw. So yeah, it's great. He's also look, he's a breath of fresh air, right? I mean, how many times now have we seen, we watch 360 on a match night and there's an interview with Son after, right? Like, he's not like, yeah, I'm not talking, or I'm not,
mm-hmm.
It's not, one interview every, 12 matches.
Yes.
Like, he's there, he's talking, he's in front of the press.
Or no interviews, period. No press opportunities or anything. Newcastle's back at it this weekend. They are part of the 10 o'clockers on Saturday. They host Wolves. Are you prepared for your post Isak era yet?
Yeah, let's go. Bring it.
Right now, you got some work to do. 3 matches in, and it is a winnable match against Wolves, who are in the bottom of the table. 0 for 3. They've given up 8. They've only scored twice. I think it's an early gotta have it for you and your Newcastle.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And
but
then,
too, we've gotten points. We've gotten points on the road as well.
Yes, and so 2 draws in your first 3 matches. Now that the drama is over, you can focus on what's going on with Newcastle. Will you be up at 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday watching said match?
Yeah, my my Saturday, it's a busy one, but it'll be Newcastle. I got some morning desk duty for MLS. Heading to my first football game of the fall.
There you go.
Clark at Southside High School. 3 o'clock kickoff for that on the Varsity Media YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Hustle back from there for a full slate of MLS on Saturday night on the desk there, and then Sunday I will be over at Hofstra working the replay monitor for the officials there for the women's volleyball match. So I'm all over the place.
Okay. As always, it's great to have you come in and talking stuff, the official term, as we kind of tour the planet on the wall past Wednesday. I cannot thank you again, my friend. Actually, Abby has requested that, well, she's like, she was in her car and crap, I've got to go back and around the other side to go get it. Hang on just a second.
Yeah, Abby, it was quite the reveal. Because John did something similar here where he went to some other part of his broadcasting area.
Yes, the studio space. So basically, Abby, now that you're back in, here's what Dylan picked up. Here it is. It is the tour T-shirt from 25, and it's got the tour dates on the back, and it's awesome. So had to be shown, and could not pass an opportunity since I didn't want to buy tickets in the absolute last row at Soldier Field to go and watch them there. But as always, my friend, have a great weekend and have a great week, and we'll catch up with you in a week's time, and we'll find out about anything and everything going on in Major League Soccer with matches that we can talk about.
Cheers, buddy.
All right, there goes Dylan, and Dylan was awesome. So getting us the gear from the Oasis concert. Jarrett's here. And Jarrett, we've been going all over the place this morning. And I know that shocks you. We got to discuss everything from the USMNT to what happened in CONMEBOL last night, which was its own brand of chaos, and everything else on the table as we get ready for Columbus coming to town here on Saturday. What is on your mind as you're in the Mountain Time Zone where it's 8:34 a.m. on a Wall Pass Wednesday?
Oh, I'm just trying not to die because no one here knows how to drive.
Oh,
But
so,
it's
so nothing changed from your time. Nothing
it
changed.
did though. Everyone does this kind of lack of self-preservation driving like they do in Atlanta, but they
Uh-huh.
do it slower. So
Ooh.
it's like everyone's trying to die in slow motion instead of trying to do it at 90 miles an hour.
Okay.
That's the only difference. But
Okay.
no, honestly, I'm like looking at all this like, I didn't know we were taking orders for Oasis tour shirts.
Well, I was like, Dylan was going, and I'm like, yeah, man, I've got to dive in on that because if
I'll Venmo him with the 50 or $60 or whatever the hell it costs these days for tour T-shirts. I don't know. Like, so this is one of my things is I don't go to many concerts because I don't believe in paying that much money for a concert. Like
no doubt.
I like to pay 15 or $20. Even then, I'm like, it's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a lot of money. Whereas I know nowadays, like most concerts are like $200-$300 to go to, and I'm like, that's absurd.
Yeah.
Especially considering so much of that is going to go to Ticketmaster and Live Nation and basically lobbying fees so that they can go lobby Congress for a little bit longer to allow their little concert monopolies to continue. Anyway, I'll get off the soapbox. Eat the rich, burn the rich. Do it.
Okay. Yes.
Anywho, I'm happy for you.
Yes.
As far as the soccer of it all goes, I was impressed with the U.S. Like I didn't get a chance to watch. I conked out last night. I didn't get a chance to watch all of the CONMEBOL of it all.
Yes.
I know the absolute knife to the gut is Venezuela dropping that game 5-2. Venezuela was in 6-3. I'm sorry, 6-3. I shorted everyone a goal.
Yes. Suarez scored 4 in a row.
It's yeah. I mean, so the last time I paid a lot of money for a concert was we paid to go see Elton in December of 2019, right before COVID, because he was doing another one of these farewell tours. And I'm like, okay, this one actually might be it, because that man has lived like 8 lifetimes when you factor in the drugs and the life. That man has lived multiple lifetimes. Elton John's on borrowed time. God bless him. Brilliant show. Brilliant showman. That man has lived, though. So that's the last time I paid significant money for a concert. But I do feel awful for the Venezuela fans because, man, John, it was right there.
Yeah.
Just get something out of that game and you're in the playoff.
Yeah.
Instead, now it is Efrain Morales and Bolivia going to the playoff. And that is one that is going to haunt you if you're Venezuela for a long time, because it was there. It was in your control. I think it was yours for the taking. And you're at home and you get absolutely hammered. Like, yeah, you put up 3 goals. Great. You gave up 6. It was there for the taking and you didn't put it away.
Yep.
I feel awful for the Venezuela fans out there because it's right there. It felt like it was there for you to make this World Cup. In the playoff, I feel like you would have liked your chances in the playoff. I don't know who you would have ended up playing. I don't know who Bolivia will end up playing, but man, that is such a gut punch. I know Joseph Martinez scored on the night too.
Yep.
Though he's not in an Atlanta United shirt, but let's not kid ourselves. We still keep up with what Joseph does elsewhere and what he does with the national team. So I absolutely hate it for him. I hate it for, Raul Hernandez, who was a part of that team as well consistently. man, it's good feelings for a guy like Efra, who has worked his way into this Bolivia national team now and now has a chance to go and continue to get minutes with Bolivia, possibly at a World Cup with Montreal, and hopefully he can follow that George Campbell path, where he eventually gets himself over to Europe, or wherever Efra wants to go. I hope he gets that. As far as the U.S. goes, hey, fair play, 2-0. Japan did blitz you, but the thing that got me, John, was the U.S. came out and played like it mattered, and they played like they took offense to the last game. It shouldn't take a South Korea level letdown for them to come out and play like that, because that counter pressure they played out on was fantastic. Like, they were keeping, anytime Japan played backwards, the U.S. stepped to them. They forced the issue. They made Japan uncomfortable.
Yep.
And it's a friendly, but so was the South Korea one. And it's two opposite feelings about it. It's that South Korea game was, after going back and looking at it Tuesday afternoon, after we talked about it with Bart, like, you had to do what you did against Japan. You had, and even not even the result, like, the result's great, but you came out and you pressed them. You made them uncomfortable. And yeah, you got some brilliant finishes, but you made them uncomfortable, and you made it look like it mattered to you, and that you took offense to everything that had happened. I would love to see the next step being that you don't need to get embarrassed like that to get up for that kind of game.
30th minute at the Death Star last night at lower.com. This was a moment with Max Arston and Alex Zendejas, courtesy of our friends at US Soccer and TNT.
Arston going on the outside does well. That's a decent cross into the middle, and it's Zendejas! 1-0 for the United States. Alex Zendejas with a goal. Great move. Fabulous.
Fabulous strike indeed. Luke Weilman, Kyle Martino on the call. And I know that a lot of folks have been talking about Max Arston, Jarrett, one way or the other. And it seems like the world is split on Max Arston. And hey, it is a day after a USMNT match. And we actually got Bart. We actually got Bart for a few minutes to discuss. So, Bart, where are you, by the way?
I'm outside of the center at the Hoover Met Complex in Hoover, Alabama.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you're at Hoover Met. That's right. So you are a family assistance. You are getting work done and family assistance. Now that I remember. Okay. So that was the first goal on the board. And Jarrett does his Irish goodbye. So there you go. So we get the one goal on the board, Bart, in the 30s, and it was Arston to Freeman, it was Arston to Zendejas, and Zendejas with the volley into the back of the net, and it was Bart at that point. It was 1-0 in the first half. What did you think of the first 45?
We felt way more in control of not just the game, but what we wanted to do. And I think that's been the thing that's been most frustrating with this team this year as a whole, is it didn't feel like what we're doing was in our control a lot of times. Felt like we were not playing to a tempo we wanted to play, not playing with, I guess, the direction that we wanted to play. We were kind of not able to impose our will on the other team. And obviously, this is a heavily rotated Japan lineup. I think a lot of Japanese fans would admit that. But the U.S. has played a lot of rotated lineups. They've been catching crap for it. So we can't just dismiss that and say, oh, well, it was a bad Japan team. Well, the U.S. has played a lot of bad lineups as well. So to be able to still dictate the game in this way against a heavily rotated Japan team is still a good thing. And so, yes, you only got the one goal. You probably should have had one or two more. We'll talk about Malikan's goal in a bit, but he obviously had some opportunities right in front of the goal mouth that he could have put in. And it just looked and felt better. And I know that's like a squishy word, but that's the reality. It looked like you were able to do what you wanted to do in a more efficient manner. Was that the back three? I don't know. I think you can make that argument. We've looked really good at a back three when we played that recently. And maybe that is kind of the way forward. I don't know. We don't really have a whole lot of great center backs, so I don't think that's something that I necessarily admit to, but it definitely felt like we were able to get players in more space a little bit better in this formation. So maybe that's it, John. I don't know. That simple change was the catalyst for this, but it's something that looked a little bit more intentional on the night.
That was your first 45. And so then it was first half, 63% possession. You get your high pressing fullbacks with Arfston and Alex Freeman. And then in the 64th minute, you double your lead, once again, courtesy of our friends at TNT and US Soccer. Goal number 2 on the board for the U.S. comes this way.
Here's the ball played through towards Balogun. It's a chance for Balogun! It's 2-0! Balogun with the goal!
Understand a lot of cheering for the crowd of 20,000 plus at the Death Star last night. So it ends up as a 2-0 win, and everybody has their ratings. We went through what Wojtala said. Let's see. So Cesar Hernandez at the 4-letter, just as kind of a counteracting, actually gives a grade to Mauricio Pochettino and gives Pochettino an 8. 5 different changes from the previous 11 against South Korea. Testing out a 3-4-3. Matt Freese was kept busy. There was the one turnover, I think, from Chris Richards that had the reaction save there. Overall performance for Pochettino, he gives an 8. Let me just run through them all here in the line. Freese gets a 9. Ream gets a 6. Richards a 7. Tristan Blackman a 6. Arfston an 8. Christian Roldan a 6. Tyler Adams, Alex Freeman 7s. Pulisic gets a 9. Balogun gets an 8. Zendejas gets a 9. Bart, what about just in general? You don't have to go number by number, but what about overall performances? Either agree or disagree with Cesar Hernandez at the 4-letter.
I think Pulisic and Zendejas were really good this match, which I think helped Balogun look a lot better and more effective than any other striker we've had recently. I do want to individually talk about Matt Freese for a little bit because obviously, John, I think it's fair to say that the number 1 spot is quite locked up. I know Matt Freese has been getting a bulk of the starts recently. He might be a guy that Pochettino likes, but I'm going to be critical for a little bit because I think this is just what I'm saying. So I'm speaking my truth, if you will. Mm-hmm. I think he does everything just fine. He is an above-average goalkeeper. He is saving shots he needs to save. But there are times when I see him and I'm like, okay, yes, he technically did save that shot. But it kind of spilled in front of him. Or, yeah, he did get to that cross and punch it away, but it only went just outside the 18. And it's, I don't feel bad saying this, but I expect a little bit more confidence, a little bit more strength, a little bit more. Just a little bit more from my starting goalkeeper of the U.S. men's national team. And I do think that is something that is going to be I'm keeping an eye on it with Matt Freese because I do think, again, he's stopping the shots. Look at that. He is doing all the things that you need of a goalkeeper to do, but it just seems like he's doing it all the time at a 7 out of 10. And, I think it's fair to say he didn't look good in the game before this. The second goal, not necessarily his fault, but he absolutely couldn't have been called for a penalty. Curry scored, and obviously the play on. And so I'm just watching that position because I'm still not sold on Matt Freese. But if you're telling me that he's always operating at a 7 out of 10, okay, fine. Maybe this is me as someone who grew up watching some of the greatest to ever do it, especially the U.S. national team kid, expecting more. I don't know. Maybe that's problem, but it's fine. It's just not great.
Yeah, the Hall of Good right now for Matt Freese.
Yeah.
Let me play some Mauricio Pochettino after the match, and then I'll come back and get your final thoughts because I don't want to get you into any kind of trouble. So here is Mauricio Pochettino after the match, courtesy of our friends at US Soccer.
Well, I think we were talking a little bit. First of all, is to say thank you because we spent a very nice time. 10 days that were priceless, and we really enjoy the great atmosphere. And then, yes, few things that for us is important to keep pushing, improving. I think we told that was, despite the result, the South Korea and the result today, I think we really believe in the process, we really believe in the plan, and I think to say also that the important thing is that we are not talking only about to win the games, because that is obvious that we want to win, but the important is to be focusing how we need to build our way, to approach the games, how we need to attack in every single period during the game, that we need to be stronger together, the communication, everything, things like are really important. Also the tactics, the approach of the tactical approach, important when we play in some way, in another, that how we need to be focused, because that is a national team that demand be very concentrated and spend a lot of energy, and that is in the way that we want to work. And I think it's important that the player start to realize how we are, how we expect from them, and it's important thing that they feel that they can come here and fight for a place, and always with the objective to have the best roster for the World Cup.
Mauricio Pochettino after the match last night, the 2-0 win over Japan. So, Bart, final thoughts from you, putting a bow on this one before you head back into work and do stuff for the Soccer for US POD.
Yeah, I gotta go back and sell some water and toilet paper. Yeah, I do. Okay, John, I think this is my final, not final, but my kind of takeaway from this camp is, well, can we still see the better players? And I think that's my concern is, and I'm not going to say Christian Rodon was bad last night, because that is false. He was fine. Arsene and Freeman. Freeman, I don't think had a good game at all. I will say he's been, of all the prospects, I think a little disappointing, but they were fine. But what does this look like with Jedi and Dest, right? What does this look like with maybe Adams McKinney or Johnny and Tessman? And if we're truly trying to find our best 23, I still don't think we've seen them together. And that's my concern, is that you're going to take some of these performances and go, well, yeah, they were fine. But just because they were good in this game doesn't mean there's something better, because it doesn't seem like he tried it out the way that we should. He's given a lot of minutes, and maybe he is fine with the evaluation he has of a guy like McKinney and Tessman and Johnny, or even a guy like Scally or those types of players. Maybe that's true. But I'm still concerned that we're not seeing our best group of players together. And we're now just over 270 days for the World Cup. So that's still a little concerned here, John, that we're not quite going to be prepared. But I feel like I can't know that until we've come to the roster for the October camp and see in his and Pochettino's mind who his best 23 to 26, whatever they end up giving us for the World Cup players are.
And I know that you and the Soccer for US PODness will continue to look at it. Thank you for fighting the gremlins that are in Hoover, Alabama, and making sure that the hamsters were behaving this morning. I know that asking you to come in while you're trying to do like 19 different things is a bit of a push. But thanks for coming in this morning. Obviously, you know that we'll catch back up on Monday. We'll talk about more things. We'll talk about the POD. We'll talk about U.S. soccer and all the things, getting ready for our October window, which is only about a month away. Go back in and sell things there in Hoover, and we'll catch up with you soon, my friend.
All right.
Thanks for dropping by as we broke glass on you this morning.
Yeah. Have a wonderful day, and I'll send pictures of me and the pig.
There you go. All right. So that's Bart Keeler, Soccer for US POD, fighting all the gremlins this morning in Hoover, Alabama, getting his thoughts. I know Abby expected a lot more at this stage when it came to the matchup last night. All right. So let's say hi to everybody that dropped into the Twitch pitch this morning. Morning, David. Morning, Lokeville. Yes, David, the Marshall Islands tee. It is a Marshall Islands tee right here. Like I said, I wore it yesterday, but I only wore it for like the show because I had some other things to do. So I figured I'd go ahead and bust it out again and let everybody see what's going on with our friends at the Marshall Islands. Be Unlimited in Arkansas, and Abby did the legwork on this. We still need to try to convince them to reissue this stuff because it was very, very popular. And I think I probably ended up getting like the last 2 T-shirts that were available. So yes, Marshall Island tee. And it was funny this morning when I was doing a sports talk radio appearance in Columbus, Georgia. And I was wearing, and it's multimedia, so you're doing audio and video. So I was wearing this shirt, and the host looked at, and he's a football guy. He played at the University of Georgia. And so he looks at this and he goes, "Oh, Marshall." And I'm like, "Not the Marshall that you think." And so I went and explained that this was not the Thundering Herd and Jim Don, and I explained our affinity for our friends with the Marshall Islands, Lloyd Hours and Matt Webb. And by the way, they were on, I think it was Sky or BBC the other day. Once again, continuing to have momentum going forward with the program. But yeah, so they're continuing to make the rounds in the car wash overseas as they continue to go. But yep, right here, wore it again, just because. Morning Pars, morning Abby. Yes, and Pars, I guess it's SDH HSN, the unboxing channel. Absolutely true. Now, David's admitted this. He says, "I dreamt that I met John last night and had to introduce myself by my Twitch handle." Believe it or not, David, actually, that's what people do. If I haven't, if we haven't met in person, and literally that was how I saw Pars for the first time. He goes, "It's Parzival." And then, you shake hands in the underbelly of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That was how I met Pars, and that was how Pars identified himself. So you would not be alone in this. So immediately, is that because I watched soccer immediately before going to bed? Maybe, David, I would say yes. Corey Griner, once again, head coach on the men's side for Emory University. It was great to see him last night, and Sue Patberg, the 2 head coaches, as a part of Jason's lecture series that he has about Atlanta being Soccer City, USA. So it was great to see Corey last night as a part of everything. And we're going to have some content for the shows coming up that we have involving the grassroots of the game and all of the cool stories that we have that are going on. We're going to circle back to a piece of history for Emory University on the men's side, and that's going to be a part of what's going on with the Red Clay Soccer Report, where we kind of take the tour of everybody else around the state. So Emory University coming up soon. We're going to catch up with folks and go through a piece of history at Emory, and that'll be a part of Red Clay. We've also got the Roots program coming up where we kind of go through all the cool stories that you might have missed in lower divisions and markets outside the immediate SDH footprint. So those 2 shows coming up here and debuting this month in short order. So great to see Corey as well. And Wiley, good to see you. Good morning. And Wiley was discussing less jumping around. I would imagine probably because of the age group that was there. Music Fantastic Light Show is bananas, and now he's pre-ordering the Tron Ares soundtrack. Morning to Abby, and once again, Abby and David going through the matchup, and Pars reminding us about the Seattle staff member who got in his. Let's see. So Abby paid a lot for her Paul McCartney tickets. Understand that definitely was probably the last one. Expected a lot more at this stage, Abby, and Abby is not the only one that expected more at this stage. Crest 11, good morning. Still concerned with the MNT, not impressed with the win against a B Team Japan side. And so Crest 11, do not be a stranger. Great to see you, and thanks for coming in and being a part of the Twitch pitch. Let's break down where things are in the World Cup in and of itself. We mentioned the Interconfederation playoff. March of 26, you get your final 2 qualifiers. 6 countries taking part. Each of the 5 confederations outside of UEFA get 1 country. The host gets a second slot. 1 from AFCON, 1 from Asia, 2 from CONCACAF to be decided. That's the group play that we're seeing right now. Oceania is sending New Caledonia, and South America is sending Bolivia, the 2 nations with the best FIFA world rankings, seeded and go straight into one of the 2 finals. The other 4 drawn into play semis, feeding through to play a seed for one of the 2 places. Playoffs are due to be held in one of the World Cup host nations as a test event. And do not be surprised if we were to, get there. So Oceania right now, once again, New Zealand is in. New Caledonia goes to the Interconfederation playoff. Right now, round 5 is going on in Asia. 8 automatics, 1 enters the playoff. You have teams that have advanced. Japan became the first to qualify back on March 20, followed by Iran, Jordan, South Korea, Uzbekistan coming in for the first time, and Australia. 6 teams in round 4 are going to play each other once. 2 matches in 1 host country in October. Qatar, UAE, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Indonesia. The group winners take the final 2 slots. The 2 runners-up go on to round 5, a 2-legged tie in November to earn the place in the Interconfederation playoff. There will be a test. CONCACAF, 3 automatic, 2 enter the playoff. So the 2 that were decided this week, 3rd round only kicked off about a week ago. So here's how it looks. Group A, Suriname, Guatemala, El Salvador. And so Suriname, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Panama. Panama and Suriname, El Salvador, and Guatemala in the crossover. Jamaica in control of Group B ahead of Curacao. Jamaica will qualify if they win in Curacao and at home to Bermuda, and if Curacao fail to beat Trinidad and Tobago. Group C, Honduras are in first, but everybody's still within reach. Nicaragua, Haiti, Honduras, and Costa Rica, and then your crossovers to determine what it's going to look like there. You've got Europe, which still has a ways to go. Final 4 places determined via the UEFA playoff. That's going to be in March. No path to the World Cup through the Interconfederation playoff. UEFA's playoff has 16 teams. The 12 runners-up, 4 best-ranked group winners who did not finish in the top 2 in World Cup qualifying. So you have 4 routes, 4 teams featuring 1-legged semis and a final. Priority order for the 4 World Cup playoff places: Spain, Germany, Portugal, France, England, Norway, Wales, Czechia, Romania, Sweden, North Macedonia, Northern Ireland, Moldova, and San Marino. Our friends from San Marino still hanging out. Get this. Of the 14 teams to win their UNO groups, 10 of those in Pot 1 or Pot 2. So on ranking, would finish in the top 2 of their group. If that comes to pass, North Macedonia, Northern Ireland, Moldova, and San Marino get playoff places. Seeding Pot 1, your qualifiers. Pot 2, 5th through 8th. Pot 3, 9 through 12. Pot 4, Nations League. And you get your semifinals there. So San Marino and Moldova still have an opportunity to make it into the expanded World Cup. And if they did, then you know that we would be all San Marino all the time. We mentioned what happened in CONMEBOL. So for AFCON, right now, here's what you're staring at with all of the groups. FIFA and CAF have yet to confirm how the second-place teams will be ranked, with only 5 teams in Group B, 6 in the others. So you've still got some work to do. Round 1, that stage began November 23, completed with 2 rounds played in October. Morocco became the first African nation to qualify, beating Niger. Tanzania 1 point ahead of Niger for second. Niger has a match in hand. Tunisia followed on Monday, but only thanks to a 94th minute goal that gave them a 1-0 win over Equatorial Guinea. Now a battle for second. Namibia needs 1 win against either Liberia or Tunisia. If Liberia beat Namibia, they're back in contention ahead of a trip to Equatorial Guinea. Malawi and Equatorial Guinea cannot be ruled out if everything goes sideways for Namibia. Egypt had a chance to punch their ticket, but they got a draw. Victory against rock bottom Djibouti. should get Egypt over the line in October. They need 2 points from their final 2 matches, Djibouti and Guinea-Bissau. Burkina Faso under pressure for second place from Sierra Leone. Third versus second on the next to last day, match day of the season. Guinea-Bissau could stay in contention if they beat Ethiopia, and Burkina Faso lose to Sierra Leone. There will be a test, trust me. Senegal comes from 2 goals down in Group B to get a late win over DR Congo. Senegal, it's in their hands to qualify. They've got South Sudan and Mauritania. DR Congo has to go to Togo and host Sudan and hope that Senegal slip up. Sudan must beat DR Congo to have a chance at second. South Africa in Group C, yet to learn if there will be any punishment for playing an ineligible player in a matchup in March, and that could be a 3-0 loss, so they have to keep an eye on that. Away to Zimbabwe, home to Rwanda in October. Benin best placed to challenge, but they have matches at Rwanda and Nigeria, but you don't know Group C because of the ineligible player and South Africa's possible punishment. Group D, Cape Verde, on the brink of their first ever World Cup, beating Cameroon Tuesday, need 1 win. Games in Libya and at home to Eswatini. Cameroon are now under pressure for second place from Libya. Final round, Mauritius, Cameroon, Angola, Libya, Cape Verde, Mauritius, Libya. Group F, Ivory Coast gets a draw in Gabon. They'll qualify if they beat the bottom 2 in October, Seychelles, and at home to Kenya. Gabon have a trip to Gambia, host Burundi. Group G, Algeria could only draw in Guinea after wins for Mozambique and Uganda. The group may still have some life. Ghana in the box seat after they beat Mali on Monday. Lots of football to go. Madagascar 3 points behind. Comoros still in contention. In October, it's Madagascar and Comoros on match day 9, Comoros and Ghana. Top spot could be sealed on match day 9 if Ghana win in the CAR and Madagascar lose. Round 2 in November, 4 best runners up get playoffs to decide what one country goes to the Interconfederation playoff. And we mentioned CONMEBOL. 15 of 45 have qualified. Japan, New Zealand, Iran, Argentina, Uzbekistan, South Korea, Jordan, Australia, Brazil, Ecuador, Uruguay, Colombia, Paraguay, Morocco, and Tunisia. So 1/3 of the field is in. I feel like an Animaniac right now. Once again, Japan was the first one to qualify. So that's where we are with the World Cup as of this very end of window. Like I said, there'll be a test in a bit. What to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it today. Once again, tomorrow, the Power Hour in hour number 2. Nino and Nico will go over CONMEBOL, and the Fallout will go over Independiente and the clubs and the Copa Sudamericana. All the other things going on in Europe that it's on Nino's plate. And with Nico, we'll look at Major League Soccer. We'll do juice boxes. We'll do lightning round, and we'll find out about Seattle's response to what happened in the League's Cup punishments. Today, Jägermeister Cup semis, Rhode Island, Sac Republic, Hartford, and Greenville. Those are on ESPN Plus, and Paramount Plus has actual action in USL Championship, New Mexico United, Detroit City. That is at 9 o'clock. College soccer, there's plenty. You have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 17 matches on the men's side. A lot of A10. You do have some ACC. You do have some SoCon. You've got Ivy League. And you have some stuff out west in the Big West. 6 matches on the women's side that include Georgia Southern, Kennesaw State. That's at 7 o'clock on ESPN Plus from down in Statesboro. You've also got Miami and Wake on ACC Network at 8. Ball State, IPFW, Omaha Creighton, Sacred Heart Bryant, South Dakota State and Drake. And I just know him as Aubrey Graham from his time on Degrassi. So that's what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it today. Let me take the tour of the papers. I know that we are in added time, and we're trying to see what else is going on. And let's see. I'm trying to see if there are any other stories that are going on that we might have to keep an eye on. And so it appears, as what we were discussing, the game with Barcelona's Camp Nou return against Valencia has been delayed after the permit problem. So that is officially official from Sid Lowe at The Guardian. And they're going to have to play in other places until place is ready. Steve Cooper is now back in managing, and he's at Brøndby in Denmark. He says, I want a team that wins trophies. So Steve Cooper goes to Brøndby. That was announced yesterday. That was kind of that was a big deal. Steve Cooper back in the game, and he is going to Brøndby. And so we'll keep an eye on his success there and how much patience they have involving Steve Cooper coming in. Let's see. Holland scores 5-11-1 win, 48 goals in 45 matches for Norway. And apparently they are going to play, meaning Barcelona, they're going to have to play at the Estadio Johan Cruyff, where officials, according to Tom Allnut at the Times, have had to check electronics and Wi-Fi for the attending press. Saint-Jean d'Espy training base normally used by their reserve and the women's teams. Club had to be given special permission by La Liga to play the Valencia match there, given league rules, stating minimum capacity for league is 8. The clause in the regulation states exceptions can be made for architectural reasons, which has enabled La Liga to give Barcelona the green light. Wednesday morning, officials and technicians went to the Estadio Johan Cruyff to make, quote, relevant audits and reviews to make sure the ground is capable of hosting a fixture. Checks on the stadium electronics and access, a new Wi-Fi connection, and VAR cameras had to be installed. Barcelona City Council is yet to sign off on the required construction certificate. According to local reports, in a statement last night, Barcelona said the club is working intensively to obtain the necessary administrative permits for the opening of the Spotify Camp Nou in the near future. Elena Fort, Club VP of Institutional Affairs, told Catalunya Radio yesterday the first phase is complete, and they hope to, quote, solve the more bureaucratic part next week, end quote. Barcelona have been using the 55,000-seat capacity Olympic Stadium in Montjuic for the last 2 years. Return there is a possibility, but it was already booked for a music concert, so they couldn't use it. Barcelona obviously wants to play PSG at the Camp Nou, and you got to keep an eye on that. Valencia fans will be given, according to Radio Cadena Ser, 290 tickets. Barcelona seats allocated to season ticket holders after a random draw on Friday morning. A random draw, and the visitors get 290 seats. That's it, 290 seats. Amanda Stavely and her company could revive a Spurs interest next year. The consortium represented by the British business exec will continue to monitor events at the club before deciding whether to make any kind of further approach. But what you had to do in the short term, you had to state your intent. You had to basically sit there and say, yeah, we are interested, or no, we're not. And so you have Amanda Stavely and her group keeping an eye on everything going on. But apparently they're not interested right now. They're going to kind of bide their time and keep an eye on, are we in? Are we out? Are we interested? Maybe, maybe not. So we'll see. That's it for another go-round of this show. And thanks once again to Bart. Thanks to Dylan. Thanks to Jarrett. And thanks to Tyler. A lot of folks talking about a lot of stuff here on a Wall Pass Wednesday. We'll be back at it again a little less than 22. Remember, we'll discuss everything, kind of getting you ready for the weekend, all your news of the morning. Power Hour with Nino and Nico at 10 and 10:30 in the last half hour, going over everything, getting you ready for said weekend. Promise. We'll catch up with Dan Orlowitz, obviously, after the result that happened yesterday, and we will play that for you in the Friday show. We'll catch up with him on Thursday night. It's another go-round of SDH AM. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks to all of you guys on the Twitch pitch as well, and thanks for being a great part of our audience as we continue to roll here in the midweek. Since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Back at it again, a little less than 22. Mucha plati, I'll play it safe. We'll catch up with you later.